dear viewers, and welcome to this special edition of Africa Today. I'm Medhat Rabia. In today's edition, we are going to discuss President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Crown Prince bin Salman talks, where they call for a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon, stressing the urgency of the humanitarian efforts and the regional stability, while also addressing broader regional challenges. Actually, during a meeting at Al Ittihadiyya Presidential Palace, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon, emphasizing the need to address the escalating humanitarian crisis and reduce the regional tensions. The two leaders reaffirmed that the sovereign Palestinian state is essential for lasting peace and also discussed other pressing regional issues, including the situation in Sudan, Libya, and Syria.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman called for implementing truce measures, including a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and Lebanon, addressing the worsening humanitarian crisis and de-escalating the conflict in the region. According to the presidency statement, this came during a bilateral meeting between the two leaders at Al Ittihadiyya Palace in Cairo, followed by a broader session of talks that included Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and delegations from both countries. Al-Sisi and bin Salman discussed the latest developments, focusing on the situation in Gaza and Lebanon, where they agreed on the gravity of the regional issues and the need to de-escalate tensions. They highlighted that establishing a sovereign Palestinian state under international legitimacy resolutions is the only path to achieving lasting calm, peace and security in the region. Both leaders also noted that any attempts to liquidate the Palestinian cause would only perpetuate the ongoing conflict in the region. They further stressed the necessity of respecting Lebanon's sovereignty, security, stability and territorial integration. Moreover, the President and the Saudi Crown Prince discussed several regional issues, primarily focusing on the security of the Red Sea region and the situations in Sudan, Libya and Syria. During the meeting, al-Sisi conveyed to bin Salman the significance and depth of the strategic relations between Egypt and Saudi Arabia amid the threats in the region. The head of state stressed the necessity of ongoing coordination and cooperation to address the current watershed phase that the region and the Islamic world are enduring.
The Economic Community of the West African State, ECOWAS, has set an ambitious target to produce 0.5 million tons of green hydrogen annually by 2030, aiming to leverage the region's vast renewable energy potential. The initiative is part of a broader effort to decarbonize these sectors, to diversify the energy sources, and to support the global transition to clean energy, as he highlighted during the recent Global African Hydrogen Summit, which took place in Namibia.
The United Nations Food Agency said that months of drought in southern Africa triggered by the El Nino weather phenomenon have had a devastating impact on more than 27 million people and caused the region's worst hunger crisis in decades. The World Food Programme warned it could become a full-scale human catastrophe. 5 countries, Lesotho, Malawi, Namibia, Zambia and Zimbabwe, have declared national disasters over the drought and resultant hunger. The WFP estimates that about 21 million children in southern Africa are now malnourished as crops have failed. Tens of millions in the region rely on small-scale agriculture that is irrigated by rain for their food and to make money to buy provisions. Aid agencies warned of a potential disaster late last year as a naturally occurring El Nino led to below average rainfall across the region, while its impact has been expected by warning temperature linked to climate change. WFP spokesperson said that the 5 countries that declared drought-related disasters have pleaded for international aid, while Angola on the west coast of Africa and Mozambique on the east coast are also severely affected, showing the extent to which the drought has swept across the region. He said that southern Africa's crisis came at a time of soaring global needs, with humanitarian aid also desperately required in Gaza, Sudan and elsewhere. Other aid agencies have said the drought in southern Africa is especially harsh, with the United States aid agency USAID saying in June it was the most severe drought in 100 years during the January to March agricultural season, wiping out a swath of crops and food for millions. El Nino weather phenomenon, which warms part of the Central Pacific, has different impacts on weather in different parts of the world.
And that was a report about the United Nations World Food Programme, which has reported that South Africa is facing its worst hunger crisis in decades, with over 27 million people affected by drought linked to the Nino weather phenomenon. And back to our main topics of discussion today, which is the visit by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to Cairo that took place yesterday. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Medhat Melegy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Melegy, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir? Ambassador Melegy, can you give us your overview of the current situation in Gaza and Lebanon, and what factors have contributed to the recent escalation in light of the discussions yesterday by both the visiting Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and President Sisi?
I think the most important thing is the reaffirmation of Crown Prince about that Saudi Arabia is not planning to have any kind of relations with Israel without receiving about a Palestinian state. I think this is the most important thing that, reaffirming the first confirmation of His Royal Highness about the necessity of the formation of a Palestinian state before any talks of normalizations of relations with Saudi Arabia could take place. Having said that, I think that this might be a very important pressure point, since Israel's main target in the region is to have relations, now that it has achieved certain kind of normalizations with many Arab countries. I think the most important thing for them is to have Saudi Arabia. The firm position of Saudi Arabia is appreciated by Egypt and by the world community, since this is the main target of Israel. As for Israel, Israel is totally non-stoppable due to the unlimited support of the United States. Just yesterday, we heard about a new arms deal, and we heard about a new defense system is going to be installed and operated by American personnel, which shows to which degree the collaboration between Israel and the United States. They are both in the same place. They are both seen as opposite to the international law, and they are both committing war crimes now, since the United States is helping Israel directly by involving itself in this new episode of the war of Israel against all the surrounding countries.
Indeed.
So I think now the position of Egypt and Saudi Arabia is very important in light of the weak position of the international community.
Yes.
And only left is Egypt and Saudi Arabia now as the pillars of relation of the Arab world, and both of them can only be the ones who will confirm the position of the Arab world, of most of the Middle East countries towards Israel. And this is a very important thing, not to mention, of course, the most important things that happened on bilateral relation and how we are going to strengthen the relation in trade and economy, and especially investment.
Indeed. Ambassador Melegy, how does the ongoing conflict affecting the border region and the broader stability, particularly in countries like in Sudan, in Libya, and in Syria?
Well, actually, I mean, Egypt has been affected dramatically by all what's surrounding it. I mean, the latest report published in Egypt says that over 65% of our revenues from the Suez Canal, for instance, is gone, simply because of the Houthi attacks. Although we do not support this, but we do understand the reasons behind it and why the Houthis are doing that, but we do not support this for the simple reason that it's affecting us, not to mention how it's affecting the whole region and the safety and the security of the maritime routes in the Red Sea. This is on one point. Of course, we have the involvement of Russia in the Ukrainian war, which also affects the position, the Arab positions, by having a strong ally, a strong traditional ally, which is the Russians behind us, since it's implicated in its own internal problem with Ukraine and else. So the idea of actually depending on someone from outside the region have proven wrong, and that's why I think the visit of the Crown Prince to coordinate the efforts with Egypt is a very important step in the right direction towards our own cooperation. Let's not forget that the most important thing that have been discussed and signed is the supreme, the establishment of the Supreme Coordination Council presented by both heads of state, which show to which degree the cooperation between the two countries and which level we had. And of course, it's not a strange thing, since Saudi Arabia is our biggest trade partner in the region.
Indeed. Sir, could you elaborate on the economic implication of these conflicts and the potential for regional economic cooperation in order to foster peace?
Well, as I just mentioned, for instance, the Suez Canal and how it's affected, and also the tourism that has been affected, and the flow of investment that we have seen. As we all know, usually the investment comes from the private sector, and the private sector is usually very timid when it comes to investing in foreign countries, as long as there is war in the region, so foreign investment is becoming weaker. And of course, this might be one of the reasons why we are trying in Egypt to attract more investment, especially from, as I said, our largest trade partner, who is Saudi Arabia. And I think that both the Crown Prince himself with His Excellency the President of the Republic, they both agreed on establishing an umbrella under which businessmen from both countries can invest in our countries respectively. I think this is a very important thing, since we are seeing a decline in foreign investments coming to both countries due to the instability and the security problems in the region. And I think that the most important thing that we have to focus on at this stage, after the theory of depending on external countries have proven wrong, as I said, that we have to depend on ourselves and see how we can cooperate and coordinate our efforts among ourselves to reach better results than just depending on, especially the United States and the West, whether we are talking the Middle East problem or we are talking even economically, since they are related and linked to each other.
Indeed. Sir, what are actually the main challenges in establishing a sovereign Palestinian state, and why is this considered to be a key solution for the long-term peace in the region?
Well, I think the declaration just by the American administration, not to mention many countries of the NATO, shows why there is obstacle to that, because simply Israel is enjoying a full support from the United States and from most of the countries of the NATO in whatever it is doing, and accordingly it sees this as an okay to continue with its aggression, whether we are talking about the Palestinian or we are talking about other countries such as Lebanon and even Iran very soon, as we are all expecting hit back by Israel. And unfortunately, whenever the Arab countries or any country in the Middle East try to retaliate from the Israeli attacks, it's called an aggression. But when Israel is doing it, it's called a self-defense. And this is part of the diplomatic coverage that is enabling Israel to continue. I believe that one of the most provocative and astonishing declarations, the one that was made yesterday by Her Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, when she said in a clear voice that Germany supports Israel in attacking Lebanon, and even if this would contribute to killing civilians, they are still okay with it.
Yes,
I think that this is something, and I believe that many observers, even Western observers, have seen this declaration with indignity, because it was actually outrageous to see such a declaration coming from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of one of the most, or if not the strongest country in the EU. And this proves to which extent Israel is affected. Of course, we do understand the regime in Germany and the complex of the guilt complex that the Germans feel because of the Second World War. And let me try to use your platform to whisper in their ear that you are not responsible for what happened in the Second World War, to accept a total violation of the international law by Israel simply by to make it up for them for what happened in the Second World War. This is unacceptable. And you should not feel guilty because of what happened. This was another era with other people who died, and we are today in this, and we are creating a new genocide against the Palestinian people, just like what happened against the Israeli in the Second World War. And we should not accept this or that. We should be balanced in our opinions and not accepting at all the killing of civilians on any reason and under any justification.
Indeed. Ambassador Medhat Melegy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much, sir, for your precious input. And with the final report for our episode today, which the Economic Community for West Africa has set an ambitious target to produce 0.5 million tons of green hydrogen annually by the year 2030.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has committed to producing 0.5 million tons of green hydrogen annually by 2030, focusing on the renewable energy infrastructure. The ECOWAS has also expressed its commitment to in place needed infrastructure that would ensure that the regional renewable energy target is achieved. The regional body noted that the region has huge potential in terms of renewable energy like wind, hydrogen, and so on. It said that this potential constitutes a good basis to go for green hydrogen production because it is considered as a vector for decarbonizing a lot of sectors across the world. It noted that green hydrogen stands at the forefront of global transition to clean energy, adding that it offers the promise of reducing carbon emission, diversifying energy source, and also fostering innovation. Earlier, the Global African Hydrogen Summit, which was held in Namibia, marked significant strides towards Africa's green industrialization. The summit drew over 1,000 global participants, fostering discussions and agreements to boost Africa's hydrogen economy and support sustainable energy transitions. As a pioneering and innovative investment platform, the Global African Hydrogen Summit provided various engagement opportunities, including accredited educative master classes, high-level leadership dialogues, a world-class strategic conference, project investment roundtables, an international exhibition and innovation center.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching. I'm signing off.